Somebody asked me to chime in and give a little bit of my opinion or insight into something, and thank you for doing this. This is Terry. Terry Owens asked me to do this, and I thought I'd just do a video because it's easier for me probably than to really go in and type out a whole thing. So what he said was, and then it's followed by the questions, when I start loving myself beyond all the fear I held so deep, I found a compassion for those who have personally hurt me, and even those that do very bad things. Coming from a Christian background, I can see correlations between why suicide is the big unforgivable sin in that there's no possibility for growth or understanding. What are your thoughts on simultaneous mixed emotions? And also, if we can bring all of our emotions in sync with each other, does that further us down the road to clarity? This feels right from where I'm coming from, but I enjoy your insights and would love to see your response. All right. Great topic, great questions. I love this stuff because what it is very suggestive of is for somebody, an individual, to assess what their level of spiritual maturity is or their lack of spiritual maturity. So we can see things from really kind of two polarized perspectives that we're ultimately trying to bring together into one harmonious balance. And that is, let's simplify this, make it simple. One is a very subjective kind of approach. We see others in the world, we perceive the world as separate from us. I'm me, I'm this person. That's them, it's us against them. They're hurting me, they're hurting them, they're doing this, they're doing that. It's them, it's them, it's them. Or the other is this really objective kind of perspective that we can have within us, which is, it's not judging the world, it's not judging others, it's just observing. It's being ultimately really universally objective in that it's just observing things, it's allowing them to unfold, and it's letting them be what they are first without forming any judgment or opinion or idea or notion or thought or belief or any of that. It's allowing it to be what it is so that you can come to a greater understanding of the essential nature of why things appear the way they do. So, we have a choice between perceiving things in one of those two ways because most people don't realize they have that choice, or even if they do realize it, they don't know what steps to necessarily take in order to empower them to really be able to be committed to a more universally fundamental perspective. So, first question, what are your thoughts on simultaneous mixed emotions? So, if this is coming from that kind of us and them perspective, I love myself, I love the world, yet I acknowledge all the wrongdoing, and I want to blame others, or my old pattern was to blame others and say it's them, but I'm not really doing that anymore. Even the people that are hurting me or hurting others, I'm able to perceive it from a more empathetic kind of perspective, where you have empathy for them. And that is when you're really starting to assess and tap into your own spiritual maturity, because you're not perceiving things from this subjective viewpoint anymore. You're perceiving them from an objective viewpoint where you realize that the way life is energy, okay? And literally the way things unfold in your life or around your life are principles of energy. To the degree that you're able to witness this and observe it, then you can understand how these principles of energy that you perceive to be a certain way in front of you are actually affecting these inner principles inside of you. So let me get back to this question. What are your thoughts on simultaneous mixed emotions? Right now, it is so difficult for almost anybody, those who are more awakened, those who are less awakened, to not have emotions that are all over the place. We're so polarized, literally so polarized individually, together as a species, everything. There's just no way. I mean, the world is seemingly in a perpetual state of chaos. But that's just from a human perspective. Things aren't really that different from, say, a geologic perspective. The earth under our feet. I mean, look at the stars above our head. Have things changed that much? Yeah, in a way, but not really. The timelines of how all these things unfold are very different, but because we're so caught up in this perceived drama of being human, it's hard to really tell what our emotions are and where we're coming from. So, simultaneous mixed emotions. We are literally presented with a choice. We can be objective or not, or be subjective. And if we're objective, then suddenly our emotions no longer rule us. They don't demand us and force us into this intense space where we feel disempowered. Our emotions then become empowering to us. They become something that we are able to use and harness and access for the greater good of our own life and then eventually the rest of the world. So the second part of that question, if this is what you mean, Terry, can we bring all of our emotions in sync with each other? And does that further us down the road to clarity? Absolutely, of course. If you mean, can we bring all of our emotions together in sync with the whole species? Absolutely, of course. I mean, that's essentially what we're trying to do, those of us who are spiritual or awakening or what we're trying to get to that point where we're all linking up. But we have to take tremendous personal responsibility to the degree that we realize there is nobody and nothing that is going to do what we ultimately need to do for ourselves. And that is to really get to this point where you choose, are you going to be disempowered and subjective and just fall into all the drama and your own polarized emotions of the world? Or are you just going to be really objective? Tune into this miraculous life force that is empowering you to be able to have a human experience in the first place, and then form opinions, then form of feelings, human feelings, based on this really solid state of peace that is already there. So I hope I answered it, and if I didn't, give me a better, a clearer indication of exactly what you were trying to narrow in on, and I'll get a lot more clear.